Coach, coming off the year that you guys had last year is impressive and it's fun, but getting back into things this year, how's it been going in the off season?
It's been outstanding. We've had an unbelievable offseason. Super proud of our seniors, just with their work ethic and everything else. They had every excuse to be complacent, and it's just been the opposite in the Valley. These kids have worked ridiculously hard. They've taken the loss from Southern Columbia, they've learned from it, and then they've used it as kind of motivation all offseason. From that game, we learned if we're going to compete at that level, we got to get bigger and stronger up front, and mission accomplished. Our offensive line and defensive lines this offseason have just exploded. Their strength is off the charts. It's the strongest football team that I've ever had. And their conditioning level right now, this is the most conditioned football team that we've had in 14 years. So we're really excited to get to camp and really excited to get playing football again.
Yeah, I'm sure. And everybody wants to keep talking about last season, but is there a feeling that you guys are just ready to move on from that and kind of get into this year?
We have moved on. Pretty much from the day that we got back to the weight room, those faces were gone. They're not there anymore, and then all of a sudden the new faces and the new leaders emerged. You can't replace those guys, but that's in the past. That's their legacy, and we're looking forward to the next play. We always play the next play, and these kids have just embraced that, and they've trusted the process. And like I said, we have a ton of experience coming back on both sides of the ball, and even some of these kids that are listed maybe not as starters played so much football that and we played 15 weeks. So you take someone like a Michael Petroff, who's going to be a sophomore. That kid has 27 games of game experience, and he's going to be a sophomore. Like, you can't replace that. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time, and again, it's a new challenge with a new team, and I know these guys are up for the task.
We can talk all day about, Sheeter and Jackson and Joey Dubix and obviously Aaron Totino and, all those guys coming back. But as a whole, how have they been gelling and getting better in the offseason?
It starts with the offseason, process of getting in the weight room and seeing those guys. They take on that new role of leaders. One group of leaders leaves, they pass the torch to the next group. But in particular, I think that it all starts with our defense. Almost every one of those guys are back, including the entire defensive front that was very formidable last year. Now they're bigger, stronger, and older. So needless to say, we're really excited about that team. But some of the kids that Joey Anthony is going to be a rising senior linebacker for us, and throughout this summer, this kid has been lights out. He's been making play after play after play, and Joey Dubix is going to step into Elijah Parrish's spot. Again, Joey played more quarters in the first 10 games than Elijah did. So we're feeling pretty confident about where we are, pretty much in both phases. Obviously the big question is, what are we going to do at the quarterback position? You can't replace Colin. He's a once-in-a-lifetime player, but we feel confident in who we have in there with either Sam Sheeter or John Caldwell. Just a matter of getting those guys game experience. Anybody can look good in the summertime when it's touch football. It's different. Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, and that's what we need to see is what's going to happen whenever people are actually coming to take their heads off and how they respond to that.
Mm-hmm. You were talking about the leadership roles, and especially with Jackson. How's he been coming along in the offseason, and what has he done for you?
Everything we've asked. He's been fantastic. Our mantra with this senior class is committed, and that's what they are. They are completely committed to each other. This is probably the 15 best friends, largest extended group of best friends we've ever had. With large groups, you get 5 or 6 guys here, but these are 15 close guys. And Jackson's led through lifting weights. That wasn't always his thing. If you know Jackson, he's an interesting character, but by the same token, that he's been all business in the weight room. And other kids see that. And again, it goes back to what we've said for years, and that is when your best players are your hardest workers, you're going to do well as a team. Not just him, but Aaron Totino, another high-profile guy, has just been a weight room warrior. He's darn near like 170 pounds now, and got his 40 down to a 4.58. So, again, a kid who was a first-team All-State selection, who didn't do anything this offseason but work at his craft to make himself better because we were one game short. And their goal is to same thing, repeat +1. And you gotta help them get to their dreams, that's for sure.
You got to feel pretty confident coming in. Obviously, that's not even a question. But what are the goals this year? Same stuff. Get back to where you are.
I mean, if you start looking at the realistic goals, there hasn't been a team that's repeated in the Heritage Conference since Blairsville. So that's goal one. We want to be able to be a team that secures our legacy being a team that's repeated because no one's been able to do it for a while. And then from there, represent our conference in the Appalachian Bowl again. That was an outstanding experience. These guys want to get back to that, get to the District 6 title game, and then hopefully, as they're wanting, and I tell them, be careful what you wish for, but they want to play Southern Columbia again, and that's the goal. We've learned from our mistakes. We've worked hard to rectify them, and that's what they want. Who knows if that will happen? But again, if your dreams don't scare you, then you're not dreaming high enough.
So much talk about the defense last year. You think it's going to be just as good this year?
Better. I think this defense will be better than we were last year. I don't know that offensively we will be able to be as explosive as quickly. I do know that we have playmakers that if the ball's in their hands, they can score. But I think that our defense can be even better than last year's defense because everyone knows that your success on a football field starts with the guys up front. All of our guys are back, so and the bigger and stronger. So we're really excited about that. Again, it's just a matter of getting some of those guys that are going to fill into those spots that are going to be a big deal for us. Garrett Custer was a kid. He's a tough replacement. He did so many things for us. Josh Fitz, defensive back, he's a tough replacement. And then obviously Colin and Elijah, but just not stating the obvious. But we have kids that are willing to take on that role, and again, we always stress defense, and our kids buy into it, and that's what we're hoping will carry us until the offense gets where it needs to be with a young and experienced quarterback.
I remember before last season, you told me, watch out for Cole Peters and Jake Niederheiser because they're going to be, and they really, the things that they did last year were crazy for you. And having those guys back up front, what does that mean?
It means the world for us because we're going to start at least one inexperienced corner who's actually my son, so he's got it tougher than everybody. And Avery Arnone, he has a lot of experience because he played a lot when Jackson was out for the first 7 weeks. But what that does is that their ability to put pressure on a quarterback is something that if teams are going to pass, we need to get that guy on his back in a hurry. And not only Cole but Burns on the other side, and then Mike Petroff on the inside. Mike's put on 23 pounds of muscle since last season, and those guys are just run stuffers. So it's going to be hard to move those guys on the inside, and then you try to go to the outside, then that just feeds right into our strength. And so, that front is super important. Next year at this time, Carly, there'll be a different story because they'll all be gone, except for Mike. But again, it starts with those guys up front on both sides, and the offensive line as well. Those guys are all coming back, too. So we're feeling really good about both of those lines at this point in the season.
Good. With Colin being gone, like you said, you can't replace him or whatever, but what kind of changes or adjustments are you going to make to compensate for that?
Our base offense, we're going to stay with what we do. It works well for us, get our guys in space, depending on which quarterback we go with. Sammy was a running back. We converted him. So he's a kid that he'll do a lot more zone reading and be able to pull and run the ball that way. But we're also going to look at having different packages that will kind of use Jackson and Aaron's abilities and try to find ways to get them the ball as many times as we can. You know, each of those guys needs between 10 and 12 touches a game. And if they get that many touches a game, I think good things are going to happen whenever they have the ball in their hands. So it's going to be, you know, a little bit less centered on letting Colin do what Colin did, and more about us scheming ways to get our playmakers the football.
And what is special about this particular group? You know, you move on from year to year, and you know every team is different. So what do you think is so special about this particular group?
Again, it goes back to that word committed. This is a group that is committed to one another. That's the most important thing. Like literally, they're a band of brothers. They're committed to the football program. They're committed to making themselves great football players. And most importantly, you know, they're committed to reaching their goals together as a group. And they've proven it in their actions and didn't just speak words about it. So I would say, you know, that's where we're at. You know, they are committed on different levels.
And what are you most looking forward to this year?
You know, just kind of enjoying it. You have to have fun coaching football. It's something that I've been able to try to force myself to do the last couple of years. I've kind of been real focused on the process and not necessarily enjoying the ride. You know, I think, you know, reflecting on myself a little bit, as we got later after the District 6 championship game, I mean, you remember, I was as loose as could be. You know, it's just different now, you know, enjoy it. We've accomplished some things. It's supposed to be fun. So I'm going to enjoy these kids. I'm going to enjoy being the head coach of the Ligonier Valley Rams and just kind of be along for the ride for them.
And then the big thing, obviously, you guys are going to have a huge target on your back, not even necessarily at the conference level, but even at the district level and beyond that. How have you been dealing with that, or what have you said to the kids about that?
Well, we have lots of strange sayings around our program, but we deal with it because we basically say head down, eyes up. And that's kind of, you know, you look at what happens whenever people are trying to gun for you, and that's what you have to do. You have to keep your head down, your eyes up, and just keep charging forward. And that's what we're going to do. We're not going to worry about things that we can't control. We'll just worry about ourselves, develop our depth, have the best practices we can, prepare, trust the process, and enjoy football.
All right, sounds good.